Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, a.k.a. Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day. Me, I'm on my way to go get his Zoe's, man. I hope y'all doing the same. On the road to 3K, man. We well into the 2K mark. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. All right, y'all, I got a few messages from everybody from social media to the YouTube comments and stuff like that. Wanted me to speak about what's currently going on in the boxing world, man. Shout out to Michael Benson for provided clarity to this report right here. And it seems as if the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Scull Canelo Alvarez, will most likely be vacating his IBF title. You know what I'm saying? Which will only leave him with 3 of the belts, the WBO, the WBA, and the WBC. You see what I mean? If you guys don't know exactly what I'm talking about, I spoke about it on the live last night. If y'all didn't see it, please go check it out. I was speaking about how the IBF is mandating or pretty much forcing Canelo Alvarez to take on the #1 IBF contender. You know what I'm saying? Ranked #1 in the IBF, and that'll be William Scull. He resides out in Germany, but he is a Cuban fighter. You know what I mean? 22-0 with 9 knockouts. They're trying to force Canelo Alvarez's hand. And I told you guys on the live last night, and I've said it in several discussions that I've been in, that, you know, nobody's going to make Canelo Alvarez do anything that he doesn't want to do. You see what I mean? We see all the pressure that's being applied for him to face David Benavidez. He's not falling for it. He ain't cracking. He feels like he's done everything he needed to do in the sport. So now he feels like he can do whatever he wants. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't like a far-fetched thing for Canelo Alvarez to do. I remember at one point in time, the WBC was trying to get Canelo to fight Triple G at one point in time. He didn't want to, so they ended up stripping him or whatever the situation is, and he was furious about that. You know, he ended up getting his lick back or whatever and gaining the title. But regardless, he's always had his say when it comes to, like, you know, these belt organizations, these sanctioning bodies, when it came to, like, mandatories and stuff like that. If he ain't feeling it, he not going to follow through with it. You know what I'm saying? And with Canelo Alvarez, you know, being one of the biggest stars in the sport of boxing, I'm sure that it's safe to say that he doesn't necessarily need a belt to sell a fight. You feel what I'm saying? I guess that's the mind frame that Canelo Alvarez is in right now. Like I said, he's not going to do nothing that he doesn't want to do. And I told you guys on the live the other night, no, last night actually, that I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo vacates the IBF title. And now the rumors are coming about that this is something he's seriously considering at this point in time. Now, this is my overall take on the situation, man, because I do see both sides of the coin. You know what I mean? But before I get into that, shout out to the IBF for, you know, standing up to the men. You see what I mean? Because there's a lot of sanctioning bodies out here that attempt to stand up to dudes like Canelo Alvarez, but then once they feel that motherfucking heat in that kitchen, they start backpedaling, you know what I mean, start kissing ass, and then try to get back in their good graces with dudes like Canelo Alvarez. So shout out to the IBF for standing on their rules, standing on their square. You know what I'm saying? They stripped Terrence Crawford right after his fight where Earl Spencer gave it to Jerron Ennis just because they were standing on they word, on their policy, on their rules. You see what I mean? And, you know, I guess they got sick of waiting around and, you know, not doing right by the fighters that's in their sanctioning body within their ranking. So they took the chance. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to see if Canelo Alvarez would actually listen to them and, you know, actually participate. But it just seems like Canelo Alvarez wants to take a completely different route. Now, I'm going to salute the IBF for that, for standing up to the man. You feel what I mean? However, I'm in full support for Canelo Alvarez vacating this title. You see what I'm saying? Canelo Alvarez at this point, man, I don't want to see him in no fights that I don't define as meaningful. You feel what I'm saying? Is it a meaningful fight for Canelo Alvarez to face William Scull? In a sense, because it's a mandatory. You know what I mean? And with him vacating the belt, you know, I think it's safe to say that it is technically it's a duck. You know what I mean? If they mandate you to face somebody and you don't face them and you give up the belt instead, it's kind of a duck. But at the end of the day, William Scull isn't the most worthy opponent for Canelo Alvarez at this point in time. He doesn't deserve a Canelo Alvarez title shot. If you guys are on here talking about how David Benavidez don't bring nothing to the table and he's not a credible fighter and he has to do more, then, you know, I'm assuming that William Scull fits in that same category as well if you motherfuckers is being consistent. You feel what I mean? So if the IBF is standing on their square, they're not going to give him any type of leeway or anything like that. I'm in full support for Canelo Alvarez vacating that belt, because at the end of the day, that's not a fight that we really care to see. William Scull is very unknown amongst the boxing world. I never knew who William Scull was until they put out these reports that he became Canelo's mandatory. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I don't really feel like, and I looked over William Scull's resume, man. Absolutely trash resume, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Fought a lot of unworthy dudes, a lot of dudes with 500 records or even losing records. I believe he was like 9-0 fighting dudes that was 1-27 from what I remember. And, you know, one of his last bouts was a 6-rounder. You see what I mean? Like, how the fuck is this man the IBF, like the #1 ranked guy in the IBF, and he's doing 6-round bouts? That shit's not really adding up to me. He did 6, 8-round bouts, and he's only did like a handful of 12-round bouts from what I seen on the resume. So what makes this dude so credible to be like, you know, the man to face Canelo Alvarez next? You see what I mean? Canelo Alvarez is 2 fights into this PBC deal, and this following fight will be the end of that 3-fight PBC deal that he has signed. And, you know, I think it's safe to say that neither one of us, me, you, whether you fuck with me, whether you rock with the nation, whatever, want to see Canelo end that PBC deal with fighting William Scull. I told you dudes that there was no way that they was going to be able to sell this fight. You know what I'm saying? Well, Jaime Munguia, you know, he was a relatively, like, unproven fighter. However, he was known amongst the people. He had a pretty good record. You know what I mean? And it was Mexico versus Mexico, so the Mexican people was bought in. It had a sales pitch. You know what I mean? It was attractive to some people. You know what I mean? But William Scull, man, it's like, how can you necessarily sell that fight? Like, what? He comes from the Cuban background, and, you know, he's an undefeated fighter. Like, I don't even know how you guys could really sell this in all honesty. The only way that I could really see this doing numbers is if they have, like, a completely stacked undercard. You know what I'm saying? But that's not very likely in all honesty because, like I said, Canelo Alvarez's cards don't really be stacked too much because the majority of the budget that they put up for these events goes to Canelo Alvarez. A good chunk, probably a good 90% of the bread that's put up for these shows, it goes directly into Canelo Alvarez's pocket. So, you know what I'm saying? I highly doubt if they want to get a stacked card, they're going to have to put bread up or cut these dudes a decent check. And Canelo Alvarez collecting all the money. You know what I'm saying? He taking all the money. Every crumb that's on the table, he's scooping that bitch up and putting it on his plate so he can eat. You know what I'm saying? So that would have been a terrible fight to promote. That would have did very shitty numbers. You know what I mean? And that would have been a complete L for PBC. So I'm sure PBC didn't even want to take that chance themselves. So I think that it is in everybody's best benefit that Canelo Alvarez vacates that IBF title, let William Scull fight Vladimir Shishkin for it. You know what I'm saying? Which I think Shishkin will dispose of William Scull, in my opinion. But regardless, I would rather see them two let this dude William Scull actually fight somebody within the rankings before he jumps in there with a guy like Canelo Alvarez. He's not worthy, man. And it's just really that simple. I don't know how else to really put it. You know, if the IBF is so hell-bent on having this dude fight Canelo Alvarez, let Canelo, you know what I'm saying, vacate that belt, then he could go fight Edgar Berlanga. Because I ain't even gonna lie to you, I'm not a fan of Edgar Berlanga fighting Canelo either, but I'll take Berlanga over William Scull. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm gonna see anybody, if I want to put anybody ahead of William Scull, is Edgar Berlanga. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather see Edgar Berlanga go in there and get washed by Canelo, because at least we know who the fuck he is. At least we know that he has some type of attention on him. Don't nobody know who the fuck William Scull is. He's the only Cuban I know that lives in Germany. You know what I'm saying? Like this dude is very confusing, and you know, how can you really sell this dude, bro? Like, you can't even say he got knockout power. You know, Canelo Alvarez done been hit flush by big punches like Jaime Munguia, Triple G, Miguel Cotto. How the fuck are you guys gonna be able to sell that Canelo's in any type of danger going up against this fighter? It would have been a horrible fight to sell. It would have did very little numbers, and motherfuckers would have lost money at the end of the day. So it is what it is, man. I respect the IBF for standing on their rules, you know, standing on business, if that's what you want to say, and, you know, just confronting Canelo Alvarez, because like I said, a lot of these sanctioning bodies, they terrified of Canelo. You know what I'm saying? They just want to be in his good graces. They don't want to lose their relationship with the IBF. You know, they squared. So I salute them for that. However, I am an advocate. I am supportive of Canelo Alvarez in this situation with vacating that IBF title, because there's a lot of fights that could be made out here that'll be a lot better or more intriguing, in my opinion, than William Scull, man. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this. This is Mazuma TV. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm out of here, man. Peace.